going.
Scratch, scratch, scratch. George Carr is here, also known as DMAXWL, and he's going to do a bit of a performance for us. Say hello, George.
Hey.
Ready to
Yeah.
make some noise?
Whenever you're ready.
All right, let's get started. All right, that was George and DMAXWL. So now we're gonna have a little chat with him. Let's see here. Why isn't the camera? There we go.
There you go. It's a little bit
Scooch
of
over.
a little bit of latency.
There is a little bit of latency.
Yeah.
A little bit more, George, if you could. You know, I don't need to be in the shot, or I can be like right next to you. So, yeah, that was a great set, George. There's some really, really interesting sounds that you got going in there.
Thank you.
And, yeah, it looked like you're having some fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was really fun.
It's always nice when you find a groove somewhere.
Yeah.
Just like
Thank you
someone
for...
take coffee. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you for kind of improvising a second song. I know the volume was a little bit low on the stream at the beginning. Sorry about that, but hopefully the sound was better towards the end. So yeah, first I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your name, DMAXWL, and about your music.
Okay, so I graduated from high school in 1977. I went back to college in 1986. While I was in college, I took one poetry class, but I was doing a lot of poetry writing, and I came up with a nom de plume to use as a poet, and that was Donald Maxwell.
Oh, okay.
So when I started getting into writing music and things like that, well, let me just shorten that and take some of the vowels out of it.
And that made a good abstract
And
electronic music name. Yeah,
Exactly.
no, that's great.
So
That's great.
It kind of fit the whole kit and caboodle kind of thing.
So I've heard you talk in the past about early memories of sounds and like environmental sounds and how that's kind of influenced the way you approach making music. And I'd like you to say a little more about that.
So when I'm in my mid-60s, so when I think back on my entire life, it amazes me now that I'm more intensely into music making than I have ever been, how much of my memories are based around sound. And the earliest sounds I remember like being attracted to were sleeping at night in the summer with the windows open. My parents' house had no air conditioning, and hearing the freight train boxcars slamming into each other across I lived in a small town, had a river, well, it was two towns with a river between them, and the railroad yards were right on the other side of the river. And in the middle of the night, when everything else was quiet, they would slam together, and you could hear them echoing off the river, and it enthralled me. I was like, wow, I got to hear more of that. That was cool.
Yeah. Those are some complex sounds, especially if it's
Really,
reverberating
I used to sit up
around.
and I would wake up and that was the first thing I would do. I would listen and see, okay, are there any freight cars? And I'd hear something. Yeah, okay, I'm going to sit here and listen.
Yeah.
So,
I can totally relate to that. And so do you use kind of the mechanical rhythms and kind of the like naturally occurring rhythms to kind of influence the way you're working with your equipment?
Yeah, well, that's why, irregular rhythms and things that kind of go in and out, I think appeal to me because, like I said, all my memories seem to be, I spent a lot of time hitchhiking on the road, and, the swishing by of cars and trucks and different types of vehicles was not a regular, sometimes it was fairly regular, but sometimes it was very irregular. And you just get used to that kind of irregular rhythm.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're walking to it, sometimes you're standing there, and sometimes you're laying down on the side of the road trying to go to sleep. But yeah, so I'm sure that plays a part.
Absolutely, I can totally relate to that. The how the irregular rhythms they still kind of have like an organic feeling to them, and and I when stuff kind of falls into a more regular rhythm from being kind of more chaotic. I like that a lot, and I noticed that you're using Soma's Ornament 8 as to kind of trigger events, both with the MSF drop and your Lyra 4 over there. And can you talk a little bit about how you're using the Ornament 8 and how it kind of is good for those kind of rhythms?
Well, because it's got 8 entirely independent cells, and you can hook them up in any way you want. And each one has like 3 or 4 different types of output. It's got a CV output. It's got like a trigger output. It's got more of a like gate output. I mean, they're named differently, but that's basically what they are.
Yeah.
And so you can hook those up to something else. They're designed to be hooked up to Soma instruments like the Lyra 4 over there. But one of the things I tend to do whenever I get a new module or a new piece of equipment is think, okay, I know what this is designed to do. What can I do with it that it wasn't designed to do?
Yeah.
And that's how I came up with the idea of, because I was just thinking about some new ideas, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, what if I tried to trigger things on the drop with the Ornament 8? Because then I could play with the rhythms however I wanted to.
Sure.
And I could throw, different modulations into its inputs. Because all of the patches that came with it were basically using, a clock divider to throw different time things into its own modulations. But if I mess all those up and control them from outside, then I get different kinds of sounds out of it.
Yeah, and I know from my experience with the Ornament 8 that, when you get the different channels kind of interacting with each other, they can kind of, create surprising and, maybe not unpredictable, but like kind of weird rhythms. And the drop seems kind of like it has a similar DNA. Would you say so? That it's got a bunch of simpler cells that work together to...
It's there's basically 2 areas of it, but they aren't totally separate. They influence each other.
Sure.
There's the noise section and the tone section.
Yeah.
And they, one can modulate the other, and they can affect each other. And then there's this master VCA that like just messes with everything.
I love that kind of stuff, where it's like one macro control that just kind of gets everybody talking to everybody else, and it just increases the chaos. That's really cool. So I met you through the LA Synth Club, and I think we've got some other members of the LA Synth Club in the chat today. Say hello if you're here. But you want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that you've or how you heard about LA Synth Club and how you got involved.
How I heard about LA Synth Club was kind of a strange story, because I was so I took a class in modular synthesis, and there was a forum associated with the class where you could talk to other alumni and people that were taking the class at the same time. And after I'd been through the class and was still on the forums talking to people, I started thinking, gee, it'd be nice to meet up with some people in real life that are interested in this kind of music and this way of making music. And so I reached out to the forums, is there anybody here anywhere close to the LA area? Anybody? I live kind of north, but and I didn't get a lot of responses. One person did respond and tell me he was going to a meetup in Malibu, so I started going to that every week for a while. But I don't think I ever saw him there. He did show up at an LA Synth Club meeting eventually, because I told him about that. But then I just started posting things like, come on, guys, I live in 60 miles outside of Los Angeles.
There's got to be
You
something.
can't tell me there's no, there's no synth geeks in this part of the world.
We just
You're
don't leave our
cra-
houses.
You're
you
crazy.
know?
Right?
You know. And this woman from Texas who used to live in the LA area and had taken the same class and was in the forum, but was now living in Texas. She says, "Well, check out the LA Synth Club."
Yeah.
You know, I said they were, I think, just getting together when I left town, and see if they're still around. So I started, you know, looking it up, and at the time I discovered that it actually existed, and when their meetings were, I had like things going on. I was going to be out of the country for one, and something else, but it was going to be like 4 months before I got to go to a meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when that meeting came around, I went back in and looked it up again, and I'm like, yeah, it's the first Monday of the month. And then I started reading their forums, the Discord, and it turns out they had just had their first anniversary
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
meetup, which was not on the regular meeting date, and I had been in town for that, but I missed it.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't look soon enough. Because I think I got back in town right after the monthly meeting before. So
Yeah.
so I just went down there one day and started talking to Lenny, and I think the first people I went were Lenny and Will
Mm-hmm.
and Nate.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know,
And Will's in the chat, you know. So and shout out to Lenny and all those guys.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thanks for being there too.
So I saw a comment in the chat. I think it was from Deb talking about getting beyond passive listening. I think it was in relationship to when you're talking about the sounds of the train cars, and that's something that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Where you know we all kind of tune out a lot of the sounds in our world, and especially in the city. You know, it can be pretty chaotic if you don't. But do you find yourself kind of trying to tune in to the sounds of the world around you and use that, you know, not just sounds of your past, but sounds of now?
Yeah, I do. I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of music when I do a lot of driving.
Oh, of course.
Go to LA Synth Club and other events around here, music events.
George is from Ventura. For people who aren't from LA, it's like an hour and a half out from a lot of the places that, from my place, from where the LA Synth Club holds our meetings and stuff like that. So yeah, he's clearly doing a lot of driving because he's at like practically every event. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay. But you know, my wife Susan, who I think is watching, was from Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been talking for, I don't know, 10, 15 years maybe, that when we retired, we would move out here.
Sure.
And because I've always wanted to live at the beach. I started going to the beach as a kid because my mother was from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to live at the beach. So we did that. And to this day, and it's been that way since I was a kid, I just didn't get there very often. You know, my favorite place to be, my peaceful place where everything goes away and I'm just fine, is walking on the beach.
Oh, I can.
If I can hear the
totally
surf,
relate.
I'm at peace.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I need. I can
Mhm.
forget about everything else and just walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I
And
hear
then
you.
you know, and I do that. There are mornings that I just get up and I say, hey, I'm going for a walk. And I just go out on the beach, walk a mile or half mile, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
down, and then go back on the road and come back. But that 15, 20 minutes out by the surf is all I need to just like start my day. And it's just
Yeah.
part of, because it's just the kind of thing you're talking about. It's repetitive. It's very similar every time, but it's never exactly the same. Right?
Yeah. But it's something that you kind of have to consciously do, right? You have to kind of put yourself in the mindset to be listening, to kind of put your antennas up almost.
Yeah, I had to put it in synthesis terminology. If you go right up to the shore, you hear like this whole plethora of frequencies, right?
Yeah.
As you walk away, they get filtered out by the sand and the building.
Yeah.
Some of them reflect
Yeah.
and some of them don't. It's
Physical properties and how they affect sound. Yeah.
I've done that for time and again. I'll go walk out there and then I'll walk back and just listen real carefully. It's like, when do these sounds drop out here? These sounds drop out here.
Yeah. I frequently talk about that kind of stuff with my good friend Josh Harubin, who isn't watching the stream today, but he's going to give me a hard time about your lavalier placement because he's a sound reinforcement guy.
Okay.
But we frequently talk about the physical properties of the environment around us and how that affects sound, and humidity will change the rate at which sound travels, and so that causes a natural filtering depending on how far away you are from a sound source and things like that. That it's just fascinating to me how a space can have an impact on a sound. What are you doing next? Do you have some more recordings that you're working on?
Actually,
more
I did.
live performances.
I did 6 recordings of rehearsals of this set that I played, the first set I played.
Great.
So I've got those.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you recorded this.
I did. Yeah.
So I don't know. I may put those together and put that out. I did something a little while ago with a different setup where I did 7 recordings of it. I just was on a forum and I said, somebody give me a number between 5 and 15. And somebody said 7. I said, okay, I'll do 7.
I'll do 7. All right. No, hey, you have a very spontaneous way of approaching music. I've noticed and I think you've said before that you approach life that way,
and I think that's why this form of making music works so much better for me than the traditional kind ever did. I mean, I played in a couple rock bands in high school, and and that where you're just trying to meticulously replicate something someone else has done.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's always got to be the same, and it's always got to be.
And all due respect for people who do that.
I have a really good friend that is very good at it.
Yeah. But I totally hear you
time,
when it
but
comes to.
It doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I can't.
Totally relate to that. I think I've learned 2 or 3 of another person's song in my whole life.
Yeah.
And I probably couldn't play them again if you asked me to. But no, you know what? It's been great talking to you, George. I really appreciated you coming out and performing for us. We're going to be doing more performances with guest performers. For the next episode, I'm going to demonstrate some integrating modular synths with Bitwig, but the episode after that, we're going to feature Mark Laidlaw, who's also with the LA Synth Club, and we're going to have a lot of fun with that. You can see that I started making merch. I've started making some t-shirts, and I've got stickers, and so I'll be selling them through the Bandcamp page, and I will also have a new release coming towards the end of the month that I'm really excited about sharing with all you guys. But I think that's all we got. Thanks again, George. Thanks for Deb holding down the audio and production side of things. And
thank you for having me.
Oh, George, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. All right. Have a great one.
Take care, everybody.
All right. That was great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So can I read the chat?